Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Tryon. Thank you so much for tuning in again. I am going to be making these super cute Christmas napkins this time. And Karin, if you can hear me, I just need you to mute. It's all feeding back on the phone. There we go. And yeah, these are super cute. Just a little holiday kitschy, cute on your table kind of napkin. And this is how they work, just like this. And then that's your dinner napkin. Isn't that so cute? It's all in the fold, and there is one placement line of stitches here. And it's just a great way to showcase some awesome Christmas fabric and for you to have some cloth napkins on your table. And you'll be able to make these up in no time. They're super, super cute. We've got a free pattern that you can download, tutorial. You don't even need a pattern. They're very simple to make, and just follow along. We'll put the link to that in the comments here, and we'll put it on our website, homemade.ca also. And so, yeah, another free pattern for you this Black Friday. Yahoo! We like deals, we like free stuff, tutorials, inspiration. We're so glad you're here. The other thing that this is going to help me showcase today is my favorite irons. You've seen me over the years use mostly this iron. This iron is also the same company, Reliable. And I'm going to show you those irons because they're all on sale for Black Friday also. So if you've been eyeing the iron with the big tank where you don't have to keep refilling it, now's the time to get one. Same with the ironing board. They're all another 10% off for Black Friday. And the Christmas fabric, 25% off, which is great. And I'm going to, even though we've made these napkins in the pattern in this little Christmas bundle, the Holidays at Home bundle, isn't this so cute? So that's what these napkins are made in. Love it. And I'm going to make the set today to show you guys how to make them in the Alpine Winter. Oh, this is like a very different look, less traditional. We're talking about pinks and grays, a little bit softer, a little bit more modern, but it'll just kind of go to show whatever fabric collection you decide to showcase. Just make sure you're using two really contrasting pieces of fabric, because that's what sort of makes this swoop work the best. So I'm going to pair the pinks with the grays and do a solid on the back and showcase the print on the front. And I just think they're so, so cute. So let's get started. I'm going to just pull from the yardage here. I'll set these ones aside. Which one should I use? Well, I'm going to use them all at some point, but oh, I love them. I think would be great if you have like a full collection like this to make, two in each colorway kind of thing. That's what I think would look great. So we're going to start by cutting a half yard. We need a half yard of fabric for every 2 napkins. So depending on how many you want to make, that's how much you need. And I'm going to just take a half yard right off of this. So how's everybody doing out there? Are you doing a lot of sewing for Christmas? Let me know in the comments. Or are you watching all day? I'm dying to know how many are repeat watchers. I hope you've been enjoying this craft along marathon. We've been doing lots of great projects, lots of good deals for Black Friday. And maybe you're keeping tuned in while you're online shopping, potentially, getting all the Christmas deals this weekend. I don't blame you. That's kind of when I kick off too. So half yard is 18. And I'm just gonna right back on the bolt for you guys to scoop up. So I'll set that aside. And I'm going to take that gray for the contrasting color. So a really great print is a way to really spice up a boring fabric like this gray. You know, on its own, this, you know, it's not really singing, is it? But put it with a beautiful print like that, and suddenly it's really worth its weight. So I'm just going to square up the end because we've got kind of a jaggedy piece here. I'm loving my new cutting mats. I've been waiting for years to get cute cutting mats. Finally. Pink and teal cutting mats. They look great in the shop. I love them. They're getting well worn in already. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to layer these up on the fold. And we need two 20 by 18 inch pieces. So I'm just going to cut off the selvage here. And so 31 over to 11. And that should be 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, 20. Go figure. Quilt math. So 20. And I'm just going to square up this end. Nice and lined up. This is such a good project for prints that are large, like this, that you kind of want to showcase and not cut up into bits. Because the fabric's just going to be folded, you can really still see the little cottages. And we want this piece to measure 18. So measure over this way. Oh, it should measure exactly 18 anyway, because that's the half yard. So I'm just going to square it up ever so slightly. Okay. So with our pieces cut, with the wrong side facing up, we're just going to fold and find the center. And you can use a pencil or your chalk, whatever you have. And on this center fold, we're basically going to make a semicircle. So I'm going to fold them. Okay. going to make sure I don't fold it that way. I'm going to test it on the actual napkin itself. This, but could I get away with, so I'm just noticing like that I've chosen a directional fabric here. And so I want to make sure my houses are standing up straight and not on their sides. So when I fold it, they're going to be standing up, which means, there we go, that's going to be fine. So if you have a directional fabric, fold it in half like this. And I'm going to do them all together at once. And what's going to happen is I'm going to find the center of this one here, this top one, by folding it in half again. And I'm just marking the center. I've got my little chalk wheel here, so there's the center. And I'm just going to layer these up so that we're... And then we want to measure over 8.5 inches. So that brings me to right about here. And I want to measure over 8.5 from this center point. And I'm going to just kind of create my own semicircle. If you have a circle maker or a semicircle maker, you could use it. But I don't. So this is how I'm going to do it. Measure 8.5 all the way around. Make sure you don't lose that center point. Kind of wants to scoot away. So let me know where you're tuning in from right now. I love hearing where you guys are. I am in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. And I have a quilt shop downstairs, in case you're new to homemade. And we're constantly doing videos and things like that. So what you could do now, instead of measuring over again, is fold this in half and cut and then open it up. But since I've got them all layered, I'm just going to keep on measuring. So your choice there if you have all those layers. So 8.5. Eight and a half. You know, and I like projects like this and some of the other ones we've been doing throughout this marathon that just sort of allow us to use up some Christmas fabric without having to do anything too huge. You know, these are projects that we can still enjoy this year. We're not gonna be finish them next year at this time. You know what I mean? Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, now you could go along with your chalk wheel first just to give yourself a better guide. And follow along those lines. Just kind of tracing it out. Probably best to do this than just freehand cutting. But once you've got that semicircle, I'm just going to touch this with the iron so it's laying nice and flat. And the steam on this iron is, I mean, they're so good. As soon as you touch the handle on this one, the steam comes out. These are my favorite irons for sure. Okay. So You can use your scissors, use the rotary cutter, whichever you like. I'm going to try to go through all the layers here. And sometimes the ruler helps, even though I am cutting a curve. Maybe I've got too many layers. Come on, Jen. This doesn't have to be beautiful, pretty cutting. It just has to be in a semicircle. Eight layers is usually about the max your rotary cutter can, and your own muscles can withstand, at least me. Okay. All right, I'm not too worried about the jaggedy edges because we're just going to sew a 1/4 inch seam right along here anyway. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my ruler, snip off this fold on all of these. Did I get it? I think I might have missed this last layer. That's fine. Go again. So I think I said at the beginning that a 1/2 yard was going to make 2 napkins. It's really making 4 napkins. Okay. So now what we want to do is pair up. Oh, it's so cute. Is pair up our right and our wrong sides. And be sure you choose which side you want to sort of be your dominant fabric. So this red would be the dominant here. So we're going to go right sides together. And then again, right sides together. And we're just going to set these aside. Right sides together. And we also need to make the little Christmas tree trunk for the bottom of these. Because you can see on this one, it's got this little patch here, and that just sort of acts as the trunk. And I just picked a little charcoal piece, and it measures 2 by 2.5, and it's folded in half, and it's going to be the little trunk for the bottom. So I'm folding it in half and pressing. And then I'm just going to sew all the way around the trunks and all the way around the napkins. And I'm going to leave about a 6-inch opening right about here in each one of them so that I can flip them right side out. So I'll get my machine all ready here now that I've cut these out. So you can see you'll be able to make these in about an hour, maybe a little bit longer if you wanted to make 8 or 10 and have them, if you had a bigger bunch of company coming this year. So I've got my 1/4-inch foot on. I'm using the Janome 5300. Love this machine. Comes with the quilting kit, the extension table, the 1/4-inch foot, the walking foot. Comes with all those accessories. I love this machine as your second, like as an upgrade machine. If you've only ever had a mechanical machine, this is a great next machine to get. Or I love this machine as one that you take on retreats or to your quilting guild, or if you sew with a group of people and you don't want to bring your big machine, this is perfect for that because it's still got the scissors, it's still got speed control, the stitches, the alphabet. You don't really have to sacrifice any of those great things. So let me just see if I can flip this right side out. Okay, yeah. We're gonna, woo! Did I drop it? I dropped it. The little trunk went flying. All right, so I'm basically just sewing along each one of these sides, along here and along here. Back stitching, scissors, and on the other side. Okay, and now I can turn those right side out and just get something kind of pokey, like that you can push out the corners. I'm going to use the tip of my scissors here, but be careful you don't poke through. We want it to have that squared off end, but we don't want it to have a hole in it. Okay, that's a little too squared off. And the other one, and then we'll press these after too. Once we're done sewing around the actual napkins, so we need to sew around, and then we also need to top stitch. That way they don't roll, like the fabric doesn't roll when they go in the wash. The other thing I like about using a sort of a darker, like the gray, you could even go this dark on the back of these napkins, is that if something gets spilled or you wipe your face and you've got lipstick, then it's no big deal. Same with having a pretty loud print. It will hide any sort of like real stains that end up on it. Okay, so I'm going to start sewing about here and come down and around. And if I'm looking at this like it's a smile, like I'm kind of not sewing where the mustache would be. Okay, starting, and I'm going to back stitch. And I'm just sewing a 1/4 inch. And when I get to the corner, and I've got a 1/4 inch left, I'm going to press our foot up and just pivot. Oh, I need a few more stitches there. I'll just hand wheel so it's a little further. If your 1/4 inch doesn't quite make it, you know you need another stitch. There you go. And when you're sewing curves like this, just be kind of gentle and ease it in. I'm not going top speed. I'm just like the high medium here. And then when you get to the end again, and then pivot. And we're going to go all the way across. Just leave an opening so that you can turn it right side out. But I am going to back stitch here so it's nice and secure. Okay. All right, let's turn it right side out. Ooh, I missed a little spot. Okay, come on back. See? Gotta check. try sewing this from the other side. Aha, look at my one's a little shorter than the other. So let's just go from this side and make sure. Just start again from here, back stitch. Guess I shouldn't assume everything was lying flush there. That's all right. If one of the napkins is 1/8 of an inch shorter, no one's meal will be ruined. It'll be just fine. Okay. Now we can turn it. Okay, I'm going to poke out those corners. Just be careful here. I should have something not quite as pokey as the scissors. Take the lead out of the pencil. And just run it right along the whole seam. That way everything's sticking out. Okay, and what I want to do before I press, or before I top stitch, is I'm going to press. So I'm just going to show you the irons here. And that way you can see what I'm up to. I just have to move the camera for you. All right, I'm going to bring this to the iron before I top stitch it, so everything lays super flat. And this right here would be one of my top picks for a Christmas gift to yourself, or you can tell someone that you love to buy it for you. These irons are top notch. The steam is out of control. They're like heavy duty workhorse irons. Does anyone already have one? I know some people have been picking them up over the years as I've had them, and they can speak to them. They're so great. Okay, so now, oh darn. I needed to do this. Got to put the little trunk in. Talking too much. All right, press these. We'll do it on the second one. So what I needed to do here was, before I sewed it all up, I needed to put the little trunk. Where's the actual one that's open? I needed to put the little trunk right about here inside. So let's do it with this one. So with right sides together, we'll line up that seam with the raw edge to the raw edge. And you could put a pin or a little clip so that everything stays nice and put where you need it to. This is just about 1.5 inches or 2 inches from the edge. Little clip. And then when we sew around, we'll make sure we get that in the seam. So I'll go ahead and sew this one. Again, just leaving that opening. Let me just move this a little further forward so you guys can see better. There we go. And as I'm coming around to the trunk, I just take that clip off. Now it's snug and sewn inside there. Sounds like my thread is going to break. Whenever that sound happens, I kind of like, hold on. There we go. And just back stitch. All right. And now with this one that I've already done, I can just seam rip that and put it inside. No big deal. All right, let's turn this one. Just seam rip the inch or inch and a half and put that in, and then it'll get captured in the top stitching. But for the rest, I'll do them ahead. So there, we've got it, a little trunk. Get my pencil so I can poke out the corners. And if you find you're not getting a nice corner, you might need to trim a bit of the seam that's in there. If you need to trim the seam at the corners, like from inside, so it's not so bulky, so that you get a good point. Okay, and just make sure this is now, you kind of leave enough opening so that it sort of naturally wants to curl in to match the rest of the line. All right, let's bring it to the ironing board. Feels like this point just needs to stick out a little bit more. There we go. Okay, and so then what happens next is about 5 inches down the line. So we can measure 5 inches down. So just line it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can put a little mark. And I'm going to just put a row of stitches right along here. It's going to act as our baseline for the ironing and the folding. So I'm just going to sew straight right along there. Back stitch. And I'm just using Deco Bob here, so the stitches aren't going to be super noticeable. But it's going to give us a place to start folding from. And I'll do the same on this one. Measure 5 inches. This one's going to be going the opposite way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll just sew down. I also need to top stitch around the entire napkin. Okay, so when I top stitch around the entire napkin, that's going to close that opening that we used. So I'm just going to start wherever we want to start, right in the middle. Back stitch a few. And if you had some decorative thread that you wanted to use here, or metallic thread. I hear my bobbin scraping inside there. What's happening? I'm going to rethread. When you hear your sewing machine making a sound that it doesn't normally make, stop and rethread. Aha, I have a little thread caught in here. See, the thread that was sticking out the top of the bobbin when I wound it was getting caught. So audio is the first thing to tell you when something is going to go wrong with your machine. You'll hear it before you see it. All right. Let's trim the other loose ones. And I'm just going to pull these few out. They're not good stitches anyway, and they'll come right out. Yep. Don't even need the seam ripper for it. If you stop when you hear the problem, then you'll save yourself a lot of seam ripping because you'll just have a little bit. That sounds better. And I'm just stitching all the way to the end, just leaving about kind of a 1/4 inch from the end, same. And then I'm going to pass the trunk. I'll come back and top stitch that at the end. The top stitching is critical. Otherwise, when you put these in the wash, they'll balloon out and the seams will want to curl. This will keep the seam lying nice and flat. In fact, you can go a little less than 1/4 of an inch. Right along the edge. Pivot. And we're just going to sew this right closed now. Our stitches can meet up. Back stitch. Okay. There we go. Now, let's figure out this first fold. So I'll use the one that's done as a template. So we've got our line here that we've sewn. There is a row of stitches here. You can kind of see it through that cottage. So let's take it to the ironing board and press in our fold lines. So let's press right on that row of stitches. That's sort of our base. And then from here, we're going to fold back. And then we're going to fold forward. And that's the top of the tree. And so then from here, we're going to make that bigger fold there. And then in half this way. Just like that. cute. And now, depending on which way the fabric is, will depend on whether what's like showing out or not. All right, so I'm just going to, do I have a little seam ripper here? So I can get that, where's my seam ripper? I'll just have to use my scissors. So I can get that other little bit of trunk in there. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. As long as I get that first stitch going, then I'll be able to, there we go. It's not a very big spot, so. I'll get that trunk in there. I think these are gonna be cute. A little different than just your typical square cloth napkin. Napkins is like one of the #1 things I love making, especially with the embroidery machine. I love embroidering people's names, Merry Christmas, happy, like whatever you want, Happy Easter, all on the napkin. And, you know, in our house, it's typically the same people that come for dinner every year. So it's okay to have their names on it because they're always coming. You know, my mom, my sisters, the kids. So, you know, if you have an embroidery machine or even a machine like the 500E here, there's alphabets. So you could put their name just on the trunk. You could put 2023 on the trunk. Happy Holidays could be, or Merry Christmas. You could stitch just right here. That would look so cute. All right, so I'm just going to clip this in place while I top stitch around this one. So we haven't been at it, I'm just looking at the time, we haven't been at it super long. We've already got 2 done, or almost done anyway. Plus I've been yakking. So this is a great little Saturday afternoon or weekday evening, whip them up kind of project. This is also a great gift. If you wanted to bring someone a homemade gift for their own Christmas table, set of napkins, very cool. So I'm just coming along now the spot and taking that clip off. I want to make sure that trunk's okay. And it's not, it's kind of gathering because I'm using that 1/4 inch seam. So I just want to make sure I don't mess anything up. There we go. Turning, up we come. And just meeting the stitches here, backspace, or backspace, backstitch. All right. And I should top stitch around that little edge here too, because I didn't do that yet. We don't want that folding in either. Just back stitching, and when you can see the stitches, try to make sure it's you know, they're nice and neat on anything where it's a contrasting fabric like this. There we go. There we go. And just leave that because Karen's on the phone there looking at the... And I am just going to stitch around this one. My kids have just entered the studio. They've got a kids class coming up in our Black Friday lineup, so you'll have to tune into that. They're going to be sewing with their cousins. It's very cute. Okay, let's just do this last bit of folding at the ironing board. All right, so again, we're folding this one in half right on that row of stitches. Get it pressed. And then folding it back. Just like this. And pressing. And then forward again. And so then from here, we're folding just in half this way. Whoops. I think I need that to fold a little bit more. Here we go. This one needs to come over just slightly. So this iron here is called the Velocity, and it steams sort of as soon as you touch it. It's got a sensor in the handle. And I love these irons because I was in the market a while back for an iron, and I was at Quilt Canada, or sorry, not Quilt Canada. I was at Quilt Market in Houston, but I saw a company with a Canadian flag in their booth. And I was looking for an iron, and I thought, well, who are you guys? And turns out they're in Mississauga. And so I bought the iron, and that's this one here. This is the actual one I bought, the one with the tank. And when I got the shop, that's when I decided those are the only irons I'm going to carry. They've been fabulous, and I've loved having those irons. They're the only ones we stock. So there we go. There's our little Christmas tree napkins, you guys. So cute. And then your guests can unfold it and see the beautiful fabric when they put it on their lap. They'll definitely be a conversation starter at the Christmas table. They're very, very cute. Love them. So I got 2 more to finish up, and I'll do that here so that we can have a full set. And remember, you can download the free tutorial and watch this video. You've got the instructions that you can download. We'll put them in the comments, and we'll post it on homemade.ca. Remember, all the Christmas fabric is 25% off. You're going to take another 10% off any machine or iron. So if you're thinking about that iron, now's the time. They never go on sale. We never get them. We're just sort of putting them on sale for Black Friday. Because it's just a great time to save and kick off the holiday season. So good time to be shopping. You can check out homemade.ca for lots and lots of deals. Thanks so much for tuning in this hour. There's plenty more to come. We'll see you then.